All right, if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV. And now to our main conversation for today. A bill to introduce the parliamentary system of government to the country has passed the first reading at the House of Representatives. A bill which is sponsored by 60 lawmakers was introduced during the plenary. Nigeria currently practices a presidential system of government which allows for a direct election of the president. Under the parliamentary system, the legislatures appoint a prime minister with a less defined separation of powers. The lawmakers said that target 2031 as the year for the transition to the parliamentary system. Briefing journalists after a plenary, Abdul Samad Dasuki, a legislator from the People's Democratic Party (PDP), who spoke on behalf of his colleagues, said, quote, "Imperfection of the presidential system of government have become glaring to all. The presidential system has denied nations the opportunity of attaining its full potential," he added. Amongst these imperfections are the high cost of governance, leaving fewer resources for crucial areas like infrastructure, education, healthcare, and excessive power vested in the members of the executive who are appointed and not directly accountable to the people, end quote. The lawmakers said they expect the bill to ignite and provoke a national conversation about the future of the Nigerian governance system. With me in the studios to pose this and make light on this discourse today is Emeka Madunago. He is a journalist and also a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
And welcome to Enterprise Morning.
And how is the weather treating you?
Fine, the weather is okay.
Is it not okay? People are not smiling on the streets.
Nigerians are not smiling on the streets. All right, good. All right, so let's look at what we have for today. You know, it's not coming from the legislatures. It's unbelievable, actually, especially coming from the legislatures from the northern region of our country who are campaigning en masse for a parliamentary system of government. But before we go into that, I'd love you to bring us up to speed. How it was for us in Nigeria from the First Republic. What was the parliamentary system like in the First Republic? The advantage, the disadvantage, the pros and the cons.
Yeah, the parliamentary system of government in the First Republic was there was separation of powers. It was about a coalition of parties. In a coalition of parties, there was intense politics anyway. All you have today, you had them in the First Republic. Is it ethnic bigotry? Is it religious bigotry? All of these things were there in the First Republic. So for me, it's not about the system of government. It's about how responsible are the people we elect into office. Because I tell you, in the First Republic, Nnamdi Azikiwe was the ceremonial president, Tafawa Balewa was the prime minister, but there are still certain clashes between them. In fact, if you read, there's a book, I think This House Has Fallen, that says that there was even a time it was suspected that Tafawa Balewa and Nnamdi Azikiwe were separately wooing the army because they were afraid, each was afraid that the other side, might instigate a military coup. There were serious conflicts at that time. Of course, you saw what happened, the crisis in the Western region. You saw what happened. The crisis in the Western region that later snowballed into the first military coup, January 15, 1966. So, we now decide, after a long spell of military coup, we then decided that we wanted to adopt the American presidential system. You see, that's where the problem is. The American presidential system is quite expensive. There are other countries that run the presidential system, but it's not as expensive as it is in Nigeria. Some countries try to blend, like Israel, they blend the presidential and the parliamentary. Why? You see, power resides in the people. Authority flows from the mandate received at the ballot box. So Why parliamentary is better is that, of course, the people will choose their representatives, and then the representatives within the parliament will elect, just like it's done in the United Kingdom, will elect will elect somebody as the prime minister, and then the government will be formed by elected members of the parliament, which is okay. But in Nigeria, it's the executive that names the prime minister. No, sorry, that names the ministers. Names the ministers and members of the. He nominates the ministers, special advisors, and all that.
Okay, you mean the legislatures? No, nominate.
No, in the UK.
Okay.
The prime minister nominates, but he does that in conjunction with the party.
Okay.
But here, a president or governor can decide to nominate ministers or commissioners, as the case may be, without consulting the party. So you find out that winner takes all idea is what has robbed us of real governance. Governance ought to be responsible, or governance ought to be representative. But what we have today is that, we have people who behave like monarchs. And that's why you see that governance has taken the back seat. We just have politics, politicking throughout. Even if you adopt the parliamentary system, Nigerian politicians, unless they choose to change their delinquency, unless they choose to stop being delinquent, you will find out that we will still have the same problems. We will still have the same problems. So, what we need, parliamentary, yes, but we need to think about proportional representation, which the parliamentary system in some countries actually advocates, which is that, you see, your position in government has to do with the number of seats you win in parliament. So, okay, the person with the biggest coalition, the highest number of seats, gets either the presidency or the office of the prime minister.
Prime Minister.
Produces the president or the prime minister. Then the second person produces the other one. Depends on who is stronger.
Yeah.
Then the third position becomes the opposition, becomes the
okay.
leader of the opposition.
Oh, okay.
It was like that in Nigeria in the First Republic. But what happened was that, you see, people began to introduce dirty conduct into our politics. So you found out that, when normal parliamentary procedure began to be overrun by primordial tendencies. And that was what led to the invasion of the Western House of Assembly. Because, you see, people believed, and like you have today, unfortunately, that when things don't go their way, they can instigate violence. That's why you see Nigerian politicians are very happy that you have 10 million children out of school.
Cool. So
because those 10 million children are actually recruits.
Tools for them.
Tools, yes. For violence, electoral violence. So, parliamentary system, it's not necessarily, will not necessarily be cheaper. Because Nigerian politicians have not shown any indication that they want this country to be better.
Now, let's talk about, you actually had taken the time to explain and digest more on this. But let's take a look at it from this perspective. Just like you rightly said, that it boils down on the character and the persona of the politicians and not necessarily the system of government that is being used. But let's take a look at this from the issue of those calling for restructuring of the country. How do you think this works? Would that in any way help to stem the issue of corruption, individual corruption of politicians that has seen the country nosedive to the position we are today?
This is basic. Character is very important. If a man marries a woman with a bad character, it will be difficult for her to cherish values that will make for a good marriage. It's simple. If a woman is wayward, if a woman doesn't have values, if a woman doesn't have proper upbringing, what do you expect she will do? She will wreck the house, she will wreck the home, she will wreck the marriage. It's the same thing.
The same thing that's happening.
It's the same thing that's happening today. When people get into office, they have a contract with the people. The people are like the husband. They gave you the mandate. The politicians are like the wife. They are supposed to take care
the home well.
of the home. But what do? They wreck the home because they believe they have money at their disposal. And so they can even build another home. They can do away with the people. So if you have a parliamentary system of government, do you know Nigerian politicians believe that everything in Nigeria is transactional? That is our major problem. Transactional. No values. So they believe that, okay, we have to use the state funds to register political parties. Do you know many Nigerian politicians own political parties? Political parties. Now we talk about parliamentary system. Of course, you know, if you want to avoid a hung parliament with nobody really in control, you have to get the smaller parties. The smaller parties, depending on your persuasion. Sometimes you may even cross and look for the liberal parties, you know, to bring them to your side so that you can have enough seats in the parliament. But it has not always been a perfect system. Look at the Lib Dems, the way the Conservative Party used them in UK. And eventually they lost out. So the point is that it doesn't matter. The political system is important. We can restructure the political system. We can still maintain the presidential, but restructure it in such a way that we have a unicameral legislature, for instance.
Okay, which says what?
We don't need 469 federal lawmakers. It's a waste. We don't need more than 10 ministers. 10 or 15 ministers. It's a waste. What do you need special advisor for this, special advisor? Do you have the money? Maybe 5 or 10 special advisors, maybe 15 ministers. You know, and then cut the cost of governance. It's very important.
Now, knowing that, you know, politics in Nigeria is a game of interest, personal interest.
Everywhere, all over the world.
Okay. But do you think that the unicameral legislature would work in Nigeria, knowing that it would not augur well for some of them, and they would lose out at the end of the day? Do you think...
It's not a do or die affair. If politics is truly about service, why do Nigerian politicians rig elections? They're not going there to serve. They go there to steal. They go there to loot the treasury. They're not going there to serve. Nobody who wants to go and serve the people will want to go and rob the people. Nobody will have the desire to go and rob the people. But they're out to rob the people. And that is why you see the desperation. So basically, if we tweak the system, in the states, for instance, states are sub-sovereigns now, they are sub-nationals. So the president is just like a primus inter pares, first among equals. So in the states, you have a unicameral legislature. Why do you need a bicameral legislature at the federal level? What are they doing? Duplication of duties. A bill is proposed in the Senate, the same bill in the House of Representatives. You don't need all of that. It's a waste. You can cut it down. We have 774 local government recognized in the Constitution. You can cut it down.
But the issue is it a matter of cutting it down, or just like we often have, stated here, is it the issue of ensuring that what is needful is done? Because if we have a level playing ground where every politician is responsible to his or her task, don't you think that this works well? A situation where we have people at both the lower and the upper chambers of our legislature who cater for every subset of our economy. So if there is prudence in the management of funds from each and every of those persons, don't you think that would spell more development in our society than not having them at all?
You see, you don't need them. You have 109 senators, 3 senators from each state.
Yes.
think it was 5 before. Now it's 3 senators. 109. That's enough. That's enough. That's representative enough. You don't need the House of Reps. Otherwise, you do away with the Senate and you stay with the 360 members of the House of Representatives. Since they represent more federal constituencies,
Yes.
you do away with the Senate. So that let the House of Representatives do things at federal level. And by the way, let me tell you, the key thing about restructuring is this. The federal, you reduce the responsibilities, the functions of the federal. The federal level will be left with only the currency, the military, and the economy. While at the subnational level, the states, the local governments, you have more development that deals with the people. I'll give you an example. Look at Abia State, for instance. You've had governors since 1999. What were they doing?
Very true.
Aba, many roads were impassable in Aba. And you had governors who were telling you stories. It's 9 months now. Alex Oti has transformed Aba. He has transformed Aba. He's transforming Umuahia. I saw it myself. I visited Umuahia not too long ago. I saw it myself. You know? I saw it myself. So, the question we keep asking is this. Is there anybody who says that governors should not, for instance, be able to provide potable water to homes? Why do you still have water vendors, water porters? It's wrong in the 21st century. It's barbaric. It's barbaric. You cannot send pipe-borne water to homes. Something as basic as sending pipe-borne water to homes. You're talking of, you hear some of the grandiose projects, industrial park and all that. What is all that nonsense? We're talking about basic things of governance, the basic governance. You cannot provide roads to people who pay taxes. You cannot provide functional schools. You cannot provide functional hospitals. In my hometown, our people got together and just resuscitated the general hospital. Some billionaires came in to put money. And the state government restored the general hospital status. Do you know the funny thing? After the Christmas break, one of the donors, in fact, let me now tell you something, because I think one of them got the idea that if you want government to retain that status of general hospital, you must have many patients. So he now gave out health insurance to 750 members of the town. So another billionaire now went there with his wife, unannounced. No doctor on duty. I'm talking of in the daytime, no doctor on duty. Out of how many nurses? Maybe they saw just 1 or 2. The doctor's quarters was looking like a poultry shed. They said, what is this? Is this how we hope to bring development? But you have a governor who is jumping up and down, blowing grammar everywhere, and not making the desired impact. And they said, okay, that he and his wife will put down money, rebuild the doctor's quarters, do a lot of things. But you see, I am against things like that. Because such things that make people in government irresponsible, delinquent, and unresponsive. It is the duty of government. The Constitution says that government shall ensure the security and well-being of its citizens. It is the duty of government to provide all these things. You are telling me that government has a responsibility, government cannot provide everything. What is the meaning of that? But in a governor's convoy, you have about 50 vehicles, 50 SUVs, V8 with V8 engines. That to fuel one, you need about 70,000 naira to fuel one. Some governors have 50, okay, multiply 70,000 by 50 SUVs. How much is that? On a single trip.
All paid from our tax.
Nigerian politicians are the most subsidized politicians in the world. They are highly subsidized. Highly subsidized, that's why they are delinquent. That's the truth. Nobody stops you from building roads. You hear some of them making things, some grandiose things, blah, blah, blah. Listen, go and do the basic things. There are the basic things, very basic things. Very basic things. Do you know it's so ridiculous? Government don't know it's ridiculous for President Bola Tinubu to say he would distribute grains to governors is a shame. It's a shame. Because the federal government doesn't own any farms.
Every farm is domiciled in the states.
In the states. Do you have federal farmers? We've been asking that question. Why do you need a federal ministry of agriculture? Do you have is there any way you have seen anybody saying I'm a federal farmer? Are the farmers not in the states? Why can't the states and local governments have food storage silos? Because the food comes out from their territory.
Yeah, definitely.
So all these schemes, anchor borrowers and all that, all those things are just used to waste our money.
And traders' money and all.
All those things are just to bribe people.
The people.
For me, I don't believe in free lunch. There's no free lunch anywhere. What I believe in is make the people more productive so that the economy can thrive. When you're giving people money, you give them 10,000, 50,000. How long will it last? If you want to run business seriously now, you need nothing less than 500,000 to 1 million naira. Any business.
True. Yes. So
because you want to tell me, one of those mamas that sell biscuit by side of the road. Is it that biscuit they're using to feed their families? Come and tell me, break it down for me.
Yeah, how?
But is that biscuit they're using to sustain their families?
True.
So you have to be, you see, we have to think of modern ways of governance. It's not about system of governance. Nothing stops us from cutting the cost of governance. Nothing stops us. Governments will tell you, we're chief security officers in name. Listen, if you provide jobs, if the people are well fed, you will take so many people out of crime.
Out of crime. They wouldn't have to go.
Very simple. What does it take to take people out of poverty? It's very simple. Upgrade the areas where people live. Upgrade slums into livable areas. Run tar roads through them. Let them have potable water. Give them good schools. And then insist that, look, if you don't send your children to school, you will go to jail. We will take those children away from you. You must send your children to school. Have functional education. Free primary and secondary school education that is functional. You know what you do? You create value chains. You say there's lunch, there's free lunch. You are going to employ people. The parents of those children will be employed. They will be employed in those farms that would produce those eggs, produce the food you use to give the children free lunch, if you decide to give them free lunch. But the point is that if their parents are working in different places and they earn well enough, they'll take care of their families now. Yes, they'll take care of their families. But when you have a system that caters to just those in authority,
there's always a problem.
then there'll be a problem.
Yes. So let's go into let's come back home for a bit, and let's talk about the campaign by the legislatures. And the question is, why do you think this is coming now? Why didn't these legislatures think about this during the 8 years administration of President Muhammad Buhari? And it's unfortunate it's coming now, less than 7 months of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu's
No, 9 months. It's already 9 months.
Yes. So why do you think it wasn't done, or it wasn't campaigned for?
There's never a time that is too late to take a look at. That is how societies progress.
No, because the reason I'm asking this is because the submission is being chased by mostly northern legislators, and the question is, why didn't they do the same thing when Muhammad Buhari was there?
It was raised in 2018, but it didn't scale through. The same way the Electoral Act, they wanted to amend it when Saraki was the Senate President, but it didn't scale through. It's not all things that scale through the legislature. You have to have enough lawmakers supporting a bill. Right now you have 60, which is very small. Out of 469 lawmakers, 60 is just very little. They still need to do some more work. Now, there is mutual suspicion in the country. This one suspects this one suspects this. You also have to deal with that. You have to deal with that. You have to build a consensus. Then, the question I'm also asking them is that why 2031? You want to pave way for Tinubu to have 8 years. What is the meaning of that? Is he the owner of Nigeria? The point is this. We keep deceiving ourselves. That was how, in previous administrations, when they did constitutional reviews, they left certain vital things out, which are now coming up as serious challenges to us. When we're talking of state police, it was like a joke. Today, everybody is talking about having state police. It's very important we have state police, because all politics is local. Development is local. The federal government should not have any business building health centers, building schools in communities. What is their business? Do you know the federal government even has the smallest territory in Nigeria, which is the FCT?
True.
Where does the federal government control?
True.
Then maybe the ports and the airports. But I am an advocate that they should sell all those things. Sell those airports, sell those seaports. Sell those things. Those things are a drain on our national economy. They just exist to just feather some nests, just to fund some pockets of some rogues. Yes, some over-pampered crooks in our midst.
But don't you think doing that would oppose our national security?
Which national security? And then bandits are kidnapping people freely on the roads. National security and Boko Haram was running, why? Boko Haram and ISWAP have been running. No, you see, let's leave this issue of national security. We just keep deceiving ourselves. There's nothing called national security. It just exists in the imagination of people. Look, you have statutory agencies, the police, the DSS, the civil defense, that are charged with internal security. If they don't do their jobs well, they should be dealt with. It's simple. So now say they will jeopardize national security. What's the meaning of that? What's the meaning of that? It doesn't mean anything. This is 21st century. Government has no business being in business. Government should actually be taking care of certain things, be taking care of the welfare and the security of the people.
All right, so let's finally look at the involvement, because there's, for every a fire, there's always a smoke. Something started of every of these things that we have today, especially with what our legislatures are saying. I don't know, what do you think is the involvement of our electoral system in all of this issue? Now let's bring it home to how Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu got into power, of course, in the first place. February 25th to 2023, it was highly controversial. Everyone around the world saw what happened, even if most of us would love to pretend we didn't see it, but we all saw what happened and how Asiwaju Bola Tinubu got into power. Now, how do you think this plays into the agitation by the legislature asking for a parliamentary system of government over presidential?
No, well, with due respect, I don't want us to bring it down to one individual. The nation is bigger than everybody. Who is Bola Tinubu? He's just one man. That's a primus inter pares. It's not Nigeria. He's not the owner of Nigeria. We should not bring it down to whether it's Tinubu or whoever it is that's in power. The point is that we need reforms in all sectors of the nation. We need judicial reforms, we need political reforms, we need security reforms, we need educational reforms. We need reforms in all sectors. That is how advanced societies became what they are today. Why? They keep, tweaking their systems. They keep looking at, should this be like this? Should this be this way? Should this be this way? Now, if we try to zero it down to individuals, then what are we running? We're running an oligopoly. The government of individuals. And that's not what it is. So the point is this: they have a legitimate claim. It doesn't matter if they are northern senators. We should not trivialize things. People, even INEC, if you go to INEC's website, one event they held some time ago, INEC actually admitted that it had not met the yearnings of Nigerians for an equitable electoral system. INEC admitted that it had failed, largely failed to meet the yearnings of Nigerians for a working electoral system. INEC admitted. So we should not boil it down to, is anybody happy in Nigeria? It's only just overfed politicians.
Exactly.
See, Nigerians generally are hungry. Nigerians are not happy. The economy is not treating people well. So anything that can just bring about a change is desirable. It may not be acceptable, but it gets to a point where people don't even care. Where people don't care. Yes, What people don't, that even if the parliamentary system can even start today, in fact, I should have started as early as yesterday. They don't care. People are hungry. People want to pay their children's school fees. They want to feed their families. They want to be responsible. But look at what is going on. You just have governance without responsibility, and which is what we are saying has to stop.
Exactly. That is what we hope has to stop. Just like we, often say, either the parliamentary or the presidential system of government, the most important thing is for us to have responsible leaders who are prudent, who understand the yearnings of the people, and who truly understand the true definition, the basic definition of leadership, and that is the only antidote for us to have a sustainable country in Nigeria. I'd love to say thank you to you, Mr. Emeka Madunago, for being part of our show today. We truly do enjoy your discussion today. It was really exciting. And to you watching, we'd love to say thank you so very much also for being part of our show today. Please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Like, comment, follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. I am Henry. You could be. See you tomorrow for yet another great time. Thank you.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.